The Shelton Metropolitan Park District meeting is called to order. If anyone attending meeting here in the council chambers would like to borrow some amplifying headphones, please let us know. No, okay. Donna, will you do roll call, please?
I will. We have Councilmember Bode attending via Zoom. Okay, feel unmute. Aye, okay. Board Member Sherman,
Here.
President Gutierrez,
Aquí estoy.
Board Member Esco,
Here.
Board Member Schmidt,
Here.
Board Clerk McDowell,
Present.
and Board Member Peterson.
Here.
Thank you, Donna. Has everyone reviewed the items on the consent agenda?
Yes.
Is there a motion to approve the consent agenda as published?
So moved.
Is there a second?
Second.
Was that Joe or is that?
Let's go.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried. We are recessing the special meeting to open a public hearing on our business agenda. Public hearing is, we're gonna hear from Finance Director Mike Givens for the 2024 preliminary budget.
Thank you, President, Board Clerk, and members of the board. We have a preliminary budget for the Shelton Metropolitan Park District for you this evening. To establish the 2024 budget, we're proposing a revenue budget in the amount of $629,385. And this increase is just 2.8% from what the 2023 budget was. And that's what you're seeing on the screen here. It's a dollar increase of just over $17,000. For the operation of Parks and Recreation in 2024, we're projecting expenses at $793,158. And the breakdown is just over $100,000 for recreation and just over $693,000 for parks maintenance. I will tell you with this first preliminary budget, we've already got some changes, and that is a couple of vehicles that we had ordered came in the once the budget was published, and so we're going to amend this just a bit because, as you know, the Metropolitan Park District pays the city for the services, and that will happen in first quarter of 2024. So the city has paid for the vehicle, and then the Park District will reimburse. So I need to make that slight change. So there'll be a little bit of a change to allow that so that the Park District has the capacity for next year. You'll notice that the expenses projected for the 2024 budget exceed the revenue, but we maintain an ending cash balance that is in compliance with the goals that we have to maintain that percentage of expenditures. Some capital projects for 2024 in the budget include, and I think this is a project was anticipated in 2023 and didn't entirely happen, and that's the design for the Simpson Railroad Trail design. There's a park impact fee study project in here, and then the North Cliff Neighborhood Park Phase 2 improvements will be happening. So those are the capital projects in the 2024 budget that total $160,000. And as I mentioned, we're projecting an ending fund balance of just over $429,300. And that rounds out our proposal for the 2024 budget for the Shelton Metropolitan Park District.
Thank you, Mike. Is there any public testimony? Don, has anyone signed up for public testimony?
No, there is.
All right, is there a motion?
I moved forward the 2024 budget resolution to November 21st SMPD meeting for further consideration, action, and to allow the public another opportunity to comment on the resolution under consideration.
Do I have a second?
I'll second it.
And so all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed? Motion carries.
Can I make a comment or ask a question? Not yet.
We have public testimony coming
Okay.
up.
All right.
so you can- you
No,
can
she-
get the-
no,
you want to talk about
she
it?
can comment.
Okay, sure.
Yeah, okay, so I have two questions. Mark, what's happening with Eagle Point?
Eagle Point is kind of to bed right now. We had the preliminary design, done nearly 2 years now, I believe, and the cost estimate was about $1.4 million to construct that project. So we don't have the resources to move forward with that project at this point.
All right, thank you. And what are our plans with the railroad tracks? Once they're pulled up, is there a plan?
Not necessarily at this point. I think that there's some budget indicated in the parks budget next year to do some preliminary planning. Again, it's not construction at all. We're continuing to seek opportunities, which may include removing the tracks and ties next year, and at least having a gravel path and gravel pathway that's more accessible and leads us to maybe envisioning more so what it might look like as a trail. But also, we have talked to our state representation, and they may be interested in participating in at least the design phase next year as well, with some skin in the game from the city and from the Parks Department. So that's probably what we're looking at. So again, some preliminary design and then removal of tracks and ties to make it accessible and traversable by the general public.
Have you ever thought about the ties or the tracks being on the sides to enclose like border the trail? Instead of,
You mean between the rails
well, you
themselves?
pull them all up and then you have this gravel trail.
Mhm.
Can you put the rails on the sides? Like edging?
Oh, I'm not
Well,
sure.
anyway,
Yeah,
it's just
I think we'll come up, we'll find somebody that has experience in trail construction and design and come up with some ideas with participation from the council as well as the community to find what the needs are and what the
Yeah.
best fit for our communities.
I think where you were going with that is just making sure to incorporate as much of the history and heritage of the community and the trail development.
Absolutely.
Right.
If we can repurpose the tracks for
Yeah.
benches and things like that, that would be
Yeah.
fantastic.
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, a lot of history
We'll
there.
seek all those out. There's certainly an asset there.
Thank you, Jill.
As a recyclable material and an asset that could fund part of the project, but we certainly want to be conscious of the historical use of that property
Mhm.
and honor that and recognize that in perpetuity.
Yeah, okay, thank you.
All right, well, this is a public hearing is closed, and we're opening another public meeting, and so Mike has information for us about the 2024 ad for Valorem taxes.
Yes, thank you. So we're fortunate in the city of Shelton to have the Metropolitan Park District that has this dedicated funding source to fund our part of our Parks and Recreation program. This is the part where we actually set the levy to collect the property taxes. And you'll hear me say this a little later tonight. We don't have final assessed value numbers from the assessor. So we're using preliminary numbers. We don't have, part of that calculation involves a figure for new construction and state assessed utilities. So we're using an approximate number. We hope to have that for, of course, the 21st meeting when we have to legally by statute set the property tax levy by November 30th. So after tonight's meeting, I'll be in communication with the assessor's office, and we'll either have to set a special meeting to get this done or seek some advisement from them on when they anticipate being able to certify. They had indicated they'd be able to get us numbers by the middle of November, but we're on such a time schedule and having to advertise this and allow for proper public comment that it puts us in kind of a difficult position to get the packet out to you and the public. So we'll have more information about that. So this is taking the property tax levy, increasing it by 1%. And then that allows us to collect the property taxes to fund the Metropolitan Park District. And that's what you have before you.
Right. The motions.
I move that we forward resolution number SMPD 39-0923 to the November 21, 2023 SMPD agenda for further consideration.
Do I have a second?
Second.
And,
Excuse me, Mr.
oh,
President.
sorry, I need to ask board members
Okay.
first.
Okay.
And public testimony. Oh, that's right. Has anyone signed up for public testimony, Donna? Okay, so no, so thank you, Mr. Mayor, for the motion. Do I have a second?
Second.
Second. Thank you, Member Sherman. Now I'd like to know if anyone had any comments. Go, question.
Can you talk a little bit, you brought up a really interesting point about not having assessed value data and the criticality of that when it comes to us planning our budgets. Can you talk a little bit about that, why that is necessary, and typically, you know, what do you know about this delay from the assessor's office?
Well, I don't know a lot. I know it's been a year where I think a lot of changes are happening. I can speculate probably some more appeals by citizens, and so this is taking them longer to close the rolls and really finalize that. And they do like to leave those open as long as possible, so that assessed value number we're given is as accurate as possible. So they're trying their best to make sure that they're capturing the assessed value at what it actually is. So if they're going to allow some appeals to decrease that property value, then they don't want us to overstate it. So part of it is involved in that and leaving those roles open as long as possible to accommodate citizen appeals.
If we don't know what the assessed value is, then essentially we can't budget.
Right, we need that certified number in order to calculate the 1% increase and then the factor for new construction and state assessed utilities.
Once
So
again,
no one can.
our reliance on our partners, other electeds in the county government to step up and do the job. So, yeah, thanks for that. Appreciate it.
Do you have any idea when that might be? When you-
They indicated by the middle of November, so we were getting through this meeting, I'll reach out tomorrow and can find out where they're at, because we have our next packet due for you all in the public this Thursday, and so if we don't have it by then, we're going to I'll have to meet with the city manager and we'll have to make a decision if we have a special meeting. Well, we'll have to have a special meeting in order to get this done and kind of get an indication from the assessor when they'll have it, because we need to schedule that when they'll certify those values to us. So if it's possibly on November 28th would be our last chance really to do that in order to
Okay.
meet the RCW, which requires us to have those by November 30th.
Thank you.
So the preliminary numbers were around $11,000. Was that about?
Of an increase.
Okay, and then we've got like 10,000 or more people in this Parks District. So the 1% increase is really maybe $1 per person
Well, it'd be
Well,
a household.
or household. I know, but
not a person.
just saying. And, but I'm just saying that's kind of a bargain considering the inflation rate and also how much we brought back to the city, how the mayor, we all did, and the staff got the concerts and music in the parks back. And also the movies in parks and all the different things that we started. And I just was, but it's still not enough for what we're gonna cover in the shortfalls in the future. So I'm encouraged, but I'm also like, we need to do more if we're gonna make up the deficits we might have in the future. So I was a little concerned, but as of now, it looks like we can move forward and it's not gonna be a terrible increase. It's just the 1% and it's about $1 per person, but per household might be more. So anyway, just wanted to put it out there. Thanks. And is there any more other comments? No. So we have a motion and a second for resolution number SMPD 39-0923 to the November 21st, 2023 SPV meeting for further consideration. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed? Motion carries. Public meeting is closed and we will resume special meeting. The action agenda, part B, there are actually no items here for action. However, Jordan has an administration report.
Thank you, board. Real quick, just a couple updates. I brought to you a couple weeks ago, the parcel piece of the North Cliff Park. Just want to give you an update on that. Hopefully by next week is when we're finalizing that surplus of that sliver of property, which is exciting to do that. And then the other one is the installation of the playground. We are scheduled for installation December 7th, 8th, and 9th. And we are looking for volunteers. We're gonna do some social media on that this week to start looking for some volunteers to help with that installation. We're really excited. So that's all I kind of got for you tonight. Unless you have questions.
Any questions for Jordan?
Is that gonna be metal?
Metal, plastic, yeah, it's composite
Okay.
structure. Mhm.
Yeah, any other general public comments? All right,
Thank you.
thank you very much. So. The last point is, well, I have a question for council member, the Lions Club.
Oh, yes.
I just wanted to thank you and the members of the Lions Club for the pickleball and basketball court that we've renovated, and also the space we have there for the Shelton Farmers Market. I also wanted to thank the Rotary Club for the Huff and Puff Trail, adopting it, and also Youth Connection for adopting Teresa Johnson Trail. And if I forgot anybody, please let me know. I'd like to congratulate everyone who's taking interest in our parks and helping out and volunteering and making the shortfall a little bit less and making our community a little bit better and the volunteerism that we're having in the community. So I'd just like to encourage that and let people know and thank people and have gratitude to create that atmosphere where people want to compete to be a little bit better. So that's my comment, and now the next meeting is gonna be on November 21st at 5:45 PM. At here, the water bill building, so. That we adjourn, this meeting is adjourned at 6:03 PM.
Right, pass that over. We'll just do that again. Good evening, everyone. This council meeting, November 7th, 2023 is called to order. Anyone in the audience needs any amplifying headphones, please raise your hand and we will deliver those to you. I'm not seeing any. Let's all rise for the pledge, please.
Allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Donna, can you do a roll call, please?
Yeah.
Here. Councilmember Sherman.
Here.
Councilmember Gutierrez.
Here.
Mayor Nicole.
Here.
Deputy Mayor.
Here.
Councilmember McDowell.
Present.
And Councilmember Peterson.
Here.
Thank you, Donna. Council have any late changes to the agenda? City manager, any late changes?
Yes, Mr. Mayor, I have one change tonight. Item F3 under the action agenda. We'll be removing that designated crisis responder contract tonight as we have a couple edits from both attorneys on each side of the city's attorneys, and there's some needs to be other health organizations that we just weren't ready to present to you tonight. So we'll have that at a later date.
Are we still on track then to execute though for next year?
We anticipate to have that first. Yeah.
Thank you.
Thank you, city manager. Council have any board reports to share? All right, moving on. Has everyone reviewed the items of the consent agenda? Yes. Maybe have a motion.
I move that we accept the consent agenda as read.
Second.
All right. We have a motion, a second to approve the consent agenda as published. All in favor, say aye. Aye. Opposed, motion carries. We have some presentations tonight. Our first one is from Liz Arbol from the Historical Society. Hi.
Hi there. I have two, they're short. First one being the Cruising Through Time car show, which took place on, was it August 27th, that Sunday, anyway. It was a partnership with the Downtown Merchants Association. Amy Cooper really spearheaded it. She did a fantastic job. She put it together, we put it together in probably about 6 to 8 weeks. We had about 150 cars, a little over, including cars from, of course, from Washington, Idaho and Oregon. There was a show the previous day, so we did have people come and stay overnight so that they could hit both shows. And we had total expenses of about $4,700. As far as attendance, you know, with 150 cars, you have probably at least 300 people, you know, in the cars, and then the people, you know, who just came down to see it, you know, we're guessing, you know, there were probably somewhere between 800 and 900 people. So, but that's an unscientific number. So I guess that, sorry, I just started.
I didn't want to go ahead.
Yeah. So I think we're done with that part.
Right, any comments or questions on that one?
Any questions?
It was nice to have it back.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah.
I think that's why we had such a good turnout, was because there was history behind it.
Yeah.
And people were kind of watching for it, so.
And I would agree on your 800 to 1,000 people down over there, because I was there most of the day. And there was a lot of people.
Mhm.
So, all right. Now our next report is from Liz as well.
Yes, so. This one I'll try and follow along and remember that I put slides together for it. So this is our third quarter report for our lodging tax for the museum. No worries. So over third quarter, we had about 880 people total come through the museum. Of those who traveled greater than 50 miles, there's about 213. And out of that 213, about 20 of those were international. If I'm remembering correctly, I think we had people from Australia, New Zealand, and then of course Canada. And we get the occasional person from South America too, which is kind of fun. Our traffic on our Facebook page is doing well. We had a little blip in Facebook. I shared something about the oh dang it, I forgot the name. The movie, you know, that you know, where they put the train off the bridge.
Ring of Fire.
Thank you. And so that just blew up. We had like 100,000 people, you know, it was crazy. So anyway, I took that out of most of the numbers because it was an aberration. So yes, the car show went well, and then next slide, please. So we have become a partner in the Maritime Washington National Heritage Area. So this is through the Washington Trust for Historic Preservation, and they are looking at our working waterfronts, aquaculture, all of that, and how it ties into our heritage in this area. And it extends from the Columbia River up to Bellingham and north to the border. So I think it's going to be a great way to kind of tie our history together, because all of it is connected to the water, logging, you know, shellfish, everything. So I think it's really exciting. I'm happy to try to get us involved with that. So, and then I'm currently working on this. My eyeballs are ready to fall out. I'm looking at so many photographs, but this is one of the photographs of Dennis Muir, who took a bunch of photographs, in like hundreds and hundreds of photographs in the late 60s, early 70s. This woman was working at a tree farm in, I think, 1968. So no wonder she looks tired. So we will be getting rid of our vintage clothes, not getting rid of them, but packing them up and having the photography within the next few weeks. Next slide, please. Oh, that's it. So are there any questions?
All right, comments or questions?
Have a comment. Railroad Avenue is a perfect place for all these events. They
Mhm.
just, and so it was great to have such a good turnout of the car show.
Yeah. it really
I
was.
was in the museum the other day and people need to go in there because you've rearranged and spruced things up and it's looking really nice in there.
Well, thank you.
Yeah.
And today I had to go home and change because today I was crawling around on the floor. We're putting up new walls for the exhibits and we painted them a couple weeks ago. And so now and you know, it's just getting better.
Yeah.
It'll never be perfect in my eyes, but we're working on it.
Well, it
So,
looks really good in there. Thank
well,
you.
thank you.
Any other comments? Thank you.
Okay, thank you.
All right. All right. And now we have a presentation for the Operation Greenlight. I don't know if everybody's aware, we have 3 veterans on our council. We have Deputy Mayor Schmidt, Councilmember Sherman, and Councilman Bode, which I don't see him right now. But Councilmember Sherman is going to read the proclamation.
There it is.
There he is. Army guy.
All right.
Hear me.
City of Shelton Operation Green Light for Veterans, November 6th through 12th, 2023. Whereas the residents of the city of Shelton have great respect, admiration, and the utmost gratitude for all of the men and women who have selflessly served our country and this community in the armed forces. And whereas the contributions and sacrifices of the men and women who served in the armed forces have been vital in maintaining the freedoms and the way of life enjoyed by our citizens. And whereas the city of Shelton seeks to honor these individuals who have paid the high price for freedom by placing themselves in harm's way for the good of it all. And whereas veterans continue to serve our community in the American Legion, Veterans of Foreign Wars, religious and civil service groups, and whereas approximately 200,000 service members transition to civilian communities annually. And whereas an estimated 20% increase of service members will transition to civilian life in the near future. And whereas studies indicate that 44 to 72% of service members experience high levels of stress during transition from military to civilian life. And whereas active military service members transitioning from military service are at a high risk for suicide during their first year after military service. And whereas the city of Shelton appreciates the sacrifices of our United States military personnel and believes specific recognition should be granted. Therefore, be it resolved with designation as a green light for veterans. The city of Shelton hereby declares November 6th through 12th as a time to salute and honor the service and sacrifice of our men and women in uniform transitioning from active service. Therefore, be it further resolved that in observance of Operation Greenlight, the city of Shelton encourages its citizens in patriotic tradition to recognize the importance of honoring all those who made immeasurable sacrifices to preserve freedom by displaying a green light in a window of their place of business or residence. Signed the 7th day of November in Shelton, Washington, 2023, by our mayor, Eric Miska.
Thank you, Councilmember Sherman, and thank you for your service, and Deputy Mayor, thank you for your service, and also Councilman Bode. All right.
Okay.
Oh,
And Mr. Mayor, as you'll see, walking in tonight, we have the green lights at the front of the Civic Center, signifying further the proclamation. We'll leave those up past the 12th as well, to continue signifying the importance of this proclamation.
what do you want to do with them? Pass them. I guess,
Kathy's making sure everyone's well prepared.
oh, all right. What do we do?
Green light.
I want an
This
orange
little
box.
item.
Why did I get the?
Okay,
Dimly lit
Okay.
green.
So-
light.
That was in the Air Force or something? Is that what it was? Like.
there's 2 more here.
It's about to be blue.
It should be blue. Give it to James.
Hey,
There's
yeah,
one
right.
left for someone out there.
I'll give it to
All right.
Mark.
And I have mine on my port.
All right.
Thank you.
Thank you, Councilmember.
That's awesome. Thank you. so
Thank
much.
you.
Yes, you're
Love this.
Okay, Finance Director Mike Giddens has information for us updating our fee schedule.
Thank you, Mayor, Deputy Mayor, and members of council. It feels like we've been talking about the development of the 2024 budget for a long time, which I think puts us in a really good position. Just to, as it comes up on the screen, to give you a little bit of history and remind you where we've been. We started 2023 with task force, the Financial Sustainability Task Force that we met with over the course of 4 months. They made some recommendations. I think that served to really inform members of our community about what we do as a city, in particular, the general fund. And as their, the title of that group was to make recommendations for the sustainability of our finances in the city. As you know, during the course of the 2023 fiscal year, we took a look at the budget and really, I think through work with you, have done some informational kinds of reports and given you a lot of data. Did I skip ahead to the budget? We
Yeah.
should be on something else.
Schedule.
Fee schedule.
I'm sorry.
You're gonna come
I
back
was
around.
so excited for the budget, but that leads us so well into the fee schedule because that's a big part of the budget. Anyway, the master fee schedule is before you and we have some subject matter. I was all ready for the budget. Can you tell I'm excited about it? So there are subject matter experts. I'm really just the gatherer of information on the master fee schedule, but this sets the fees. Last year, we didn't get this to you in time to implement it effective January 1st of the fiscal year. Getting it to you in really concert with the budget. Much of the budget, in particular, for the enterprise funds are in this fee schedule. You've had it before you. We have prepared a document that shows the fees as they are with the most recent version in 2023 with changes that are being recommended by the different departments. So I'll put it back to you, Mayor, and for council, if you have any questions that we can answer with staff.
All right, are there any questions? I had some concerns about some of the fees that were in there and I called our city manager and he explained them to me. And so I'm okay with moving forward with it. I would probably like to see more of a study session on fee increases. So we can actually have a discussion, I mean, on like line items. There's quite a few increases in here and I think it would have been nice for us to have, discussion on most of them, but I did go through all of them and I did talk to the city manager about the ones I was concerned about and I'm okay with moving forward with it if the rest of the council is. All right, then anybody else have any questions? Anyone sign up for public comment, Donna?
No, there isn't.
All right, anyone want to talk about this? All right, do we have a motion?
Mr. Mayor, I move that we forward resolution number 1294-0923. The action agenda on the November 21st, 2023 council meeting for further consideration.
Second. All right, I kind of jumped ahead earlier. Comments or questions?
Real quick question. I
Okay.
was scrolling through and I just caught the displays on city messages boards, $350. So does that mean I can put a display message on a board for $350?
$35 on
35?
the,
Oh,
so
that's,
it was 30.
Yeah.
And that's on the digital reader boards on
yeah,
both sides of
The
town.
strikeout there is a little.
sorry.
that's what I'm
Yeah,
seeing.
yeah,
Okay,
yeah.
okay.
So this,
Apologize
I was
for
about to be
that.
like, whoa,
I was like,
That's a big increase.
Check the.
yeah.
okay, that's what that is. All
It's
right.
community service anyway, right?
There's
Reader
specific
boards.
policy that dictates who can and
Yeah.
what types of messages.
Correct,
Okay, good
exactly.
to know. Thank you.
Yes, thank you for clarifying that. I know.
It looks like $350, but
One other item to
Mhm.
bring to your attention is the special event permits. We added a tier 2 in there for events that may be of not of, I guess, general community interest. They might be commercial events or some events such as that. They're ticketed, they're age restricted or something like that. A general community, it's not the Forest Festival Parade or something like that. And so what we want to do is we're proposing it anyway at this point is to capture actual cost to perform city functions to maintain, manage, and provide the necessary infrastructure for those events. So what we do in that case, since they vary greatly, right, from a 1 block street closure to to the entire, length of railroad from First to Seventh. What we do is we provide an estimate. Our staff have worked on gathering as much information as they can throughout the years for how much time it takes, materials it takes to provide those services for different events throughout the year. So we'd be able to provide an estimate at the time of the application of special events. So the individual or group would know what those costs are up front before they move forward.
Any other comments or questions? We have a motion and a second to forward resolution number 1294-0923 to the action agenda of November 21st for further consideration. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, motion carries. We have another item from Mike relating to B&O taxes.
Yes, thank you. So as you know, we did spend quite a bit of
Budget.
time on, no, I'm with it now. We had a study session on the B&O tax. Just to go back to my earlier comments, the Financial Sustainability Task Force looked at this as one of the mechanisms that are under your control as council to increase the rate on. We've done some planning internally in the finance department. Should you move forward with this as the direction you gave us in the study session to communicate with our business partners in getting the word out on this so that they can plan for it. So we have some strategies that we'll use as we send out, depending on your direction with the ordinance, in the upcoming mailings when we send out the annual, quarterly, and then monthly reports that we do. And we can also send a message to everyone. So we've got some plans for that. The ordinance also updates the Shelton Municipal Code 3.52 as you gave us direction in the study session to strike, if you will, the rather archaic exemptions that were in there. And so we had this reviewed thoroughly by our legal counsel, and we bring before you then tonight this updated B&O model ordinance for your consideration.
Thank you, Mike. Donna, anyone sign up for public comment?
No, there isn't.
Anybody like to speak on B&O taxes? All right, may we have a reading of resolution or ordinance number 2016-1023?
Ordinance number 2016-1023. An ordinance of the city of Shelton, Washington, amending chapter 3.52 of the Shelton Municipal Code related to business and occupation tax.
Thank you, Donna. Do we have a motion?
Mr. Mayor, move we forward ordinance number 2016-1023 to the action agenda on November 21st, 2028 council meeting for further consideration.
Second. All right, comments or questions? No. Councilmember Bode, any comments? All right, we have a motion and a second to forward ordinance number 2016-1023 to the action agenda of November 21, 2023 for further consideration. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, motion carries. Okay, we're recessing from a regular meeting to open a public hearing. Mike has an ordinance regarding the 2024 budget, preliminary budget.
Yes, so the document that we've worked so hard on, and as I started the presentation about, I think the 2024 budget has involved a lot of preparedness. Not that certainly we haven't as a city in the past, but I think our full effort was really in this to make sure that the 2024 budget is balanced so that ongoing expenditures are matched with ongoing revenues. So that we're not in a position to have to look at this in mid-year, barring any kind of unforeseen economic conditions that might dictate that. But we've budgeted in a way that we can sustain this. So really what we're looking at, I would like to stress, is not just 2024, but also with much of the direction you've given us and some of the action that you're going to take to sustain this through our good stewardship beyond just 2024 and into the following couple of fiscal years. And I think that's something that our citizens should feel good about, because we're in a position to maintain the services that not just the general fund provides, but the enterprise funds as well, that are crucial services for our citizens. As I mentioned earlier, we had a lot of involvement in the budget. Not only did we have an outside citizen group convened to really learn about the general fund, we formed a subcommittee with city council members to work with us. We've also, I think, through the monthly financial reports, not only to you, but to our public, been very transparent about how we're trying to bring our expenses in line and be good stewards with the tax dollars that we're given, but also plan for the future. And so we've taken a really good long look at the budget. It's such an important document because it's that plan for the next fiscal year. It certainly isn't just finance that puts this together. City staff in all, not just directors, but we work so closely with Public Works. Public Works Director Jay Harris and Superintendent Brent Armstrong are critical to this because so much happens in the water, sewer, storm drainage funds and the capital funds there. I know you've heard a lot throughout this year about the plans that they have. So we've tried in so many ways through study sessions and at council meetings to make sure that we're communicating with you and our public and what our plans are with this budget document. And so it begins with a letter from the city manager. I encourage members of the public to read that. It really outlines so much of what we've done. I don't know if you want to make any comments now before I get into some of the meat of the budget, but I'll.
I just want to reiterate what Mike is saying, that our entire staff has been intimately involved through this process since essentially April 1, when I sat in as chair. It's been labor intensive. It's been I guess not so pleasant at times, but also the good part of this is the team has come together and worked really hard. And I'm really proud of the group of employees we have here to work towards these goals. One thing that Mike did kind of say, I want to reiterate, the living document, right? This budget goes on throughout the year. We adopt it by the end of the year, but we're monitoring this and managing this on a constant and continuous basis. So it's not one and done and put on the shelf and walked away from. Each department's responsible for their departmental budgets. They monitor those. They report accordingly. We make adjustments accordingly. We have to monitor our revenue streams at the same time as we monitor our expenditures. So it's an ongoing process that happens throughout the year. And as Mike also said, we are looking forward to 2025 and 2026 to make sure we're sustainable and we don't get to the point of a supplemental budget like we saw earlier this year with the reductions and the heavy reductions that we face this year. We want to get ahead of those in a reasonable amount of time, so we don't impact some of the crucial city services that we provide.
And it starts all over again in 6 months for 2025. We started this, what, in May? About May.
Kind of January, really, when the task force was convened, in some ways, really looking at the plan, I would say, but in earnest, certainly in April.
Yeah.
If we could go to, I'm going to take us through just some highlights, since this is our really one chance to get in depth with this a bit. So on page 2, you'll find Exhibit A. Or B, one of the exhibits, sorry. You'll find an Exhibit A that summarizes the expenditures across all of the funds. So the total budget, when we talk about what is the city's total budget, it's $44,064,239 at this first reading. Just like with SMPD, no sooner do we get this brought to you and some minor changes occur where we need to make sure we're reflecting as up-to-date information as we can. So in the second budget presentation, there may be a slight variance to that. I'll certainly point it out where it would occur. I don't see anything really dramatic changing. But this breaks down each of the funds and what we are proposing as expenditures within them. And I'll get into a little bit more of that with some of the funds. I know that for people that aren't familiar with the municipal budget, it can be a little bit daunting when you look at that. But just to remind our citizens, the general fund is really what funds the operations of the city that people probably see and feel every day, from public safety to street operations and maintenance, our parks and recreation, our animal shelter. All of those things are what are really coming one way or another through the general fund and operate. And then, of course, our enterprise funds where people pay for a service like water, sewer, the storm drainage, and then the capital funds associated with that. I think then next we have Exhibit B, which summarizes, it summarizes the estimated beginning fund balances that we're projecting at the end of 2023, the 2024 proposed revenue, the 2024 proposed expenditures, and then what I want to draw your attention to is that proposed ending balance of each of the funds, because the thing that I'll just advise that you want to see here is a positive number. You want to know that we're projecting that even if we're using some beginning fund balance in combination with our revenue, that then our expenditures are leaving an ending fund balance. And staff work very hard to make sure that this is balanced, that it's meeting the policies that you have set for the various funds, and that we can still get the work done that we talked to you about in study sessions and in preparing this. So then, beginning on page 3 is a description by fund of the FTE. I want to spend just a little bit of time on this page because this page really depicts kind of where we've been. As City Manager Ziegler talked about, we brought to you a 2023 supplemental budget that reduced some staffing. In that, I think we learned a lot. We were trying to balance a 2023 budget to ongoing revenues. Through that, we've been able, and then some staffing transitions that ensued. We really learned kind of where some reductions hit us pretty hard. I'm bringing up just an example of something that we're adding back in, and that's we're recommending a halftime customer service position. So we reduced hours at the front desk. We're not recommending change that will change those. We're just adding back a halftime position. When we get in busy times, we end up pulling other staff in, and that really affects how much we can do. And so this halftime position is funded largely through the water and sewer fund. And so that was just an example of something where we learned, we think we can be smarter about how we staff, and that halftime position will really free up some staff in other areas that are having to be called up to work on that. So that's really kind of a highlight of where we go from that 2023 supplemental to the 2024 proposed budget. You'll notice that we're showing an increase in FTE on the municipal court. They're not actually getting more people, but we weren't accurately reporting that. The judge's hours had increased, and we have a part-time position in there. We want to be transparent and have the actual FTE that we're funding observed in here. I will point out some reductions that have occurred due to attrition that we're recommending we not fill. I think we've alluded to this, and some of you know, we had a resignation of our administrative services director. We're not refilling that position. Instead, we are breaking that out now with a human resources position. And then the admin services director goes away. Human resources falls under the city manager, and our information technology staff member falls under the finance department. So we were able to realize some reductions there. The other reduction occurs in Parks, Rec, and Facilities. So we had reduced a custodian at that mid-year supplemental. And then with your putting former director Ziegler in the city manager role and doing some alignment of staff, that's another director position that's eliminated. So we've really eliminated some high-level positions to try to bring this Again, I think it speaks to our work towards sustaining this budget and really making sure that we can live as well as we can within our means for more than just next year, but looking beyond it. So that's what brings us down to that final FTE in this proposed budget at 65.48 across the general fund, and then across all funds. There weren't any reductions in the other city funds: street, water, sewer, storm, and M&R, equipment maintenance and rental. So the total FTE for the city is 99.53. That's budgeted in what you're presented tonight.
And Mike, to clarify, that's what we're budgeting for. It doesn't necessarily mean every position is filled.
Correct.
So
We have
that's something that we are always considering when it relates to positions not filled, and we have increased overtime costs, et cetera. So even though, for example, it says 21 police full-time,
We don't have that.
that's not what we currently have. That's what we're budgeting for. That's what we're planning for.
So again, I wanted to spend just a little time on that because it is the thing, you know, as most public agencies, it takes the people to make what we do happen. And so that's where so much of the heart and soul of the budget is in staffing. And I think not only for our staff, our community, for you as council, we're well planned now so that we don't have to revisit as we did mid-year 2023 to make reductions. At this point, we are budgeted for not only 2024, but beyond that to sustain this level of staffing. So that, I think, is something that speaks well to all of the staff and directors have worked really hard to make sure that we're there, because as we pointed out, we don't want to be in that position again. So moving on kind of through the rest of the budget, just some highlights, because I think what you know about this, we've spent so much time. I'm not trying to take away from anything, but a big part of the general fund budget is, of course, public safety. I believe we've captured the true costs of paying for our fire and emergency medical services. As you know, that's based on our interlocal agreement with Central Mason Fire. It's based on our assessed value that came in at a different rate, so we were under budgeted. I think we've captured that more fully for 2024 as best as I can estimate. As you mentioned, our police staffing remains the same. That budget is intact, and in fact, we're putting some investment towards quite a few things in the general fund that really, I think, work towards investing in our assets and what we have. So an example of what's in here is the purchase of one police vehicle so that we can keep up with that important investment for our community and not just run them till they can't be driven anymore and then come to you in a panic mode of how we're going to replace a police vehicle. So we're trying our best to use the money that we're given to reinvest in the ways that we can. As you know, the general fund supports street operations. There's a budgeted $400,000 transfer from the general fund into the street fund. And we're using, as you had guided us, some TBD money towards maintenance and operations of street. Later in the budget and another fund, the tourism fund proposed budget is included based on the recommendations that were given to you. That's utilizing some of the fund balance to promote tourism in the city of Shelton. And so that's really a positive thing. Through the presentations and study sessions that you had this year, you've heard a lot about the projects plan that involve the enterprise funds, including the water capital fund, the sewer capital fund, and storm drainage capital fund. We're happy to talk more about those, but they're listed throughout the budget document. Again, this is really our guide for the year ahead in so many things that we do, and it's an ambitious guide that department directors have planned, but I think the citizens of our community will see the results of this in so many ways as the calendar year unfolds. Another thing I wanted to point out, sometimes our best laid plans are to get things done and they don't quite happen as we planned. We're anticipating an award from the Department of Commerce to redo the library deck. As you know, we're partners in that with Timberland Regional Library. That was budgeted in 2023. We're moving it forward in 2024. So all the same committed funds. The city general fund has a commitment, Timberland Regional Library does, the grant, and then the library endowment fund that we hold. So that is planned in there as one of the projects. But I'll stop there, and myself and city staff are happy to answer questions that you might have as you looked over the 2024 budget document.
Thank you, Mike. Donna, has anyone signed up for public testimony?
No, they're here.
Anybody like to speak on our preliminary budget? All right. Maybe have a reading of ordinance number 2013-0923.
Ordinance number 2013-0923. An ordinance of the city of Shelton, Washington, adopting the budget for the calendar year 2024.
Thank you, Donna. Do we have a motion?
Mr. Mayor, move that we forward ordinance number 2013-0923 with November 21st action agenda for consideration.
Second,
Right, comments or questions?
I'd just like to express my gratitude to staff, as member of the subcommittee that worked on this budget. I know we asked a lot of hard questions. I know you put a lot of hard questions to yourselves and to your programs. And it's very evident that a lot of data went into creating this document. It was a very strategic and intentional effort, and I know it was not an easy thing to do. Thank you for providing us with good information to make good decisions, and for really, examining this at the deepest level possible to make sure that we have a sustainable budget and being realistic about what our commitments are and what we're able to deliver to the public. So just want to express my gratitude to everyone who's part of that process.
Anything?
Thanks, Mike.
I was noticing that we probably have a true cost finally for Nisqually. I see that we're budgeting $504,000 for jail services next year, which is twice what we did prior to Nisqually last year, correct? So we're still used to do about 250, 270
Before
Yeah.
Nisqually.
before Nisqually.
Yeah.
So we're still
Yeah.
committed to holding people accountable
Absolutely.
in the jail system. Do we know what was the cost for Nisqually? Or
We
for
can
jail
get that
services,
for
I
you.
guess.
Yeah,
Certainly.
it's fluctuated. Obviously, the beginning of the year was a lot less than it's been recently. I think our monthly bills
Between
have
20
been
and 30,000 a
yeah,
month,
something to that extent. Currently,
approximately.
So,
Yeah.
Okay. So we definitely have enough in there to,
Yes.
we have better data in order to establish a budget.
Yeah.
Right.
And that's just for Nisqually, when I
Yes.
say 20 to 30,000.
Yeah.
Just.
all right. Any other comments or questions? All right, we have a motion to second to forward ordinance number 2013-0923 to November 21st. Action agenda for further consideration. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, motion carries. Public hearing is closed and we're opening another public hearing. Our last item from Mike is an ordinance regarding ad valorem taxes.
Yes, thank you. So much as I said in our earlier board meeting with the Park District, we don't have firm assessed value numbers. A couple of things that I will tell you, we've the 1% increase is not very much on either of these. We were fortunate a year ago, August, voters renewed the EMS levy. So we now have this year for calculation of property taxes, a highest lawful levy because it's reset after voters did that. So once we get the numbers from the assessor, we'll update this again, hoping it's for the next reading, but otherwise we'll make sure that we schedule something so that we can meet the statute. Another comment just about the emergency medical services levy, that is really an amount plus some that we use then to fund our fire and emergency medical services through Central Mason Fire. So it's just a part of that, but it certainly is a huge help. And so we're committed as through your goal to public safety, and that's a big part of this. So again, once we have firm numbers, which will hopefully be this week, so that they can go on the packet for the 21st. Otherwise, we'll have communication to you about our recommended plan.
Thank you, Mike. Donna, has anyone signed up for public testimony?
No, there isn't.
Anybody want to speak on the ad valorem? Okay. May I have a reading of ordinance number 2014-0923?
Ordinance number 2014-0923. An ordinance of the city of Shelton, Washington, setting the amount of the annual ad valorem taxes in the city of Shelton for calendar year 2024.
Thank you, Donna. Do we have a motion?
Mr. Mayor, I move that we forward ordinance number 2014-0923 to the November 21st council meeting. For the consideration.
All right, comments or questions? Right, we have a motion and a second to forward ordinance number 2014-0923 to November 21 council meeting for next scheduled public hearing for further consideration to allow the public another opportunity to be heard on the ordinance under consideration. All in favor, say aye. Aye. Opposed, motion carries. Public hearing is closed. Back to our regular meeting. Capital Project Manager Aaron Nix has information for us about a contract award for well one pipeline pressurization.
Mayor Pro Tem, Council, thank you. Thank you for the opportunity to serve this community. This project is going to be familiar to you because we just talked about it in a work study session a couple of weeks ago. Can you put up the map of the project area, please? As you recall, we have a significant water project that we're trying to undertake. This is kind of last remnants of the old water system. You can see there, the pink area basically outlines the project area. What we're attempting to do is we're going to basically convert a gravity-fed water system and make it pressurized. So we're going to take and it goes from well number 1 to the Springs Road. That's an all open cut area where we'll be replacing brand new pipe. From there, that's about 800 linear feet. From the spring site all the way down to the high school, that's about 3,800 linear feet. And what we'll be doing is pushing a 12-inch ductile iron pipe through a 20 and 24-inch cast iron pipe, with the intent, again, to pressurize the system. Gravity without pressure it doesn't automatically mean you're going to get contaminants in, but it's just it's a better system because you've kind of sealed the system. So fortunately we had our bid opening today, and we got some great bids. The engineer's estimate was about $1.95 million. We got 2 low bids. The one was for $2,040,217,000. So it's about 100,000 or so, a little bit more than the engineer's estimate. The other one was at $2.21 million. So there's no formal announcement that will happen at your next meeting if you decide to put this in the action agenda. I will tell you, Jay did a great job of ensuring that we have budget for this, and we have plenty to cover that, as well as the other things. So happy to answer any questions. The intent here, you guys, again, is to make it, be transparent, bring the project towards, let the public hear about it on your business agenda. My hope is that we can award this on the 21st. So, and get to work. So, thank you.
All right, Donna, anyone sign up for public comment?
No, Mr. Mayor.
Anybody want to speak? All right, do we have a motion?
Mr. Mayor, I move to forward well number 1 project pipeline preservation project to the council's agenda for November 21st for further consideration.
Second,
Thank you. Comments or questions?
I have a comment. So by putting the pipe in the pipe, that's for the pressurization, but also does that preserve that pipe for many more years?
So we're not as worried with regard to the old pipe. And this is something that we discussed at length when we were designing this thing. The idea being it's just a casing for it. We're actually going to fill it, the outside of the new pipe, and then the outside area, we're going to fill that in with grout so that when it does fail, that thing will settle. It won't settle, and we won't have a foot dip in our roadway. So that's what we're trying to do. I think encasing it, Jay, encasing it in the grout probably does increase the life of the pipe itself, I suspect.
The pipe itself is 100+ years that we're putting inside the casing.
Right.
Longer than that, most likely. So, anyways, but with grouting it in place in the carrier pipe, this is gonna be around for a long time.
And even decreasing the pipe size, because it's going from an open gravity bed system, we're not actually filling that 2-foot pipe today anyways, right?
Correct.
So
That's
going down to the 1-foot pipe or whatever, we're not gonna lose capacity.
Plenty of capacity in that pipe.
And we'll be using potentially less chemical to treat the water, less chlorination, et cetera. So money ahead, great, excellent, good project, guys, thank you.
So
Thank you.
I'm just curious about how, do you just like put a pipe in a pipe and it makes colors? Is it like soft or?
No,
No.
typically you'll have, so what we're gonna do is it's not ductile iron pipe, it's actually HDPE pipe, which is you've seen it, it's that black pipe. Very thick walled stuff, they actually fuse it on site, meaning they will drag one and push one through, and as they're lining up the next one, they will actually, what they call fuse it, they will actually burn it together, so what you're getting is a single piece of pipe with no joints, in essence. So it's very well known, we've done this a lot. Again, the intent is, and what we've at least prescribed, the contractor will have to come back to us with their methodology. Some of the thoughts that we put into the design is actually putting rollers on them, so that ideally what they'll do is they'll start the pipe, have a very long rope or something to the other end where they want to drag it through, and they'll start yanking it through, pulling it through, and they'll but use it as they go and all the way through, and that makes it to the end, and they grout the ends, grout the pipe, and you're good to go.
So all the curves in the pipe is,
Ideally, we're not gonna have many curves in the
Okay.
pipe. Typically, what you do is if you're gonna curve a pipe, that's where you put a catch basin or some way to access it. We don't want curves, we don't want bellies in our pipes, we want it as straight. A lot of the thing that I used to do when I was an inspector was we'd actually put lights at the end in the pipe, take a mirror and look down to make sure that we had a full moon. You don't want dips and stuff like that.
okay,
So.
all right.
You know, one thing I can offer is, on a good rainy day, we'll sign you guys up for a field tour. If you guys want to go see the project site, watch them thermally fusing it, pulling a piece in. If you're interested, get back to the city manager, we can pick a date and get everyone out there to check
Yeah.
out, you know, this project. It's been in design for a long period of time. It's a well-needed project. And thank you to the state for the grant dollars for this project too, right? The city has significant contributions also. But it's a great project. And if you guys are interested in a field trip here in the next month or couple months, contact the city manager and we can schedule a site visit.
Yeah.
Right.
Sounds good.
And just for reference for the public as well, 2 million of this project is covered by grant money. So our contribution is it's significant, I get it, a couple $100,000, but it's not $2.5 million, so
Yeah.
that's a really positive.
That
Excellent,
is great.
Right.
thank you.
Any other comments or questions? We have a motion and a second to forward the well one pipeline pressurization project to the council action agenda for November 21st, 2023 council meeting for additional consideration. All in favor, say aye. Opposed, motion carries. Next on the agenda is the contract amendment for the SCADA services. Sewer and Stormwater Superintendent Brent Armstrong has details.
Good evening, Mayor, Council. Bringing forward a contract amendment to our SCADA services for our water and sewer utilities. As you are well aware of, we have SCADA, which is the technology that gives us control over our water and sewer system. We can operate valves, gives us readings to stay in compliance for both departments. We're in need to update some software and to the tune of $99,390, 30 of which is the water utility, and 68 $1,874 in the sewer utility. This will also add some funds to keep our on-call service with parametrics going. So if we have failures during the night, they come out, we have an on-call service, they help us reactivate the system and maintain.
All right.
Any question?
You must have public comment, Donna?
No, there isn't, Mr. Mayor.
Anybody like to speak on this? Didn't think so. Do we have a motion?
Mr. Mayor, move forward resolution number 1298-1023, the November 21st council meeting action agenda for further consideration.
Thank you. Comments or questions?
When was the last time that we updated the software, or when do we anticipate we'll need to do that again?
We've updated it in 18. And it's usually technology driven, so it's whenever upgrades come, if those upgrades are compatible with our current system, we don't have to. But it's kind of on the software's timeline.
But we've reached the end of life on the current system,
Yes.
so.
And it makes us vulnerable for security and upgrades that we need to stay in compliance.
Nice. Thank you.
Any other comments or questions? This is where we bought a new server for a couple years ago.
Mhm.
For this, yeah. That was barely breathing. Right. Okay, any other comments or questions? We had a motion, right?
Yes.
Yes, we did. We have a motion, a second to forward resolution number 1298-1023 to the November 21st, 2023 council meeting for further consideration. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, motion carries. Tired. Our last business item is a joint mitigation plan. Community Economic Development Director Jay Hill has details.
Here or up there?
You're good.
Okay.
No, come on. Fine.
Mayor, Deputy Mayor, Council, thank you for having me. I'm bringing forward a resolution tonight to adopt the multi-jurisdictional, multi-hazard mitigation plan that was prepared by Mason County. Mason County received a federal grant and hired a contractor to do the work. The city was a participant in the plan process. Chief Beeson, former Chief Beeson, was the city's lead on it, but several of the other department directors were involved, and we're recommending adoption of this plan because it will allow us to apply for pre-disaster mitigation grants, and it will also make us available for emergency funding should we befall a disaster. So we're recommending the resolution be placed on the action agenda at the meeting on the 21st. I'm happy to answer any questions you have about the plan process.
All right, Donna, anyone's had a public comment?
No, there isn't.
All right. Who wants to speak? Do we have a motion?
Mr. Mayor, move that we forward resolution number 1299-1023 to the action agenda for November 21st council meetings and further consideration.
Thank you. Comments or questions?
Second.
Oh, second. Comments or questions?
I was just surprised at how many fault lines there are in the Puget Sound, South Puget Sound, and how not just the big one, the Fuca one, but the little ones coming in through here. So I was like, whoa, okay, it's another thing to worry about. Oh, okay, anyway, just so many things to worry about, and just kind of laid it out, and I was like, oh, man. Anyway, the 100-year floods might be coming too, so we're at that point. So thanks very much for updating us and getting us ready for something major to happen that we've got a backup plan. Thank you very much.
All right, any other comments or questions? We have a motion and a second to forward resolution number 1299-1023 to the action agenda of November 21st for the council meeting for further consideration. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, motion carries. All right, Park and Rec Supervisor Jordan Crumples has information reports about Civic Center rotating art gallery.
Thank you, Mayor and Council. Tonight I bring to you the next recommended art for the art gallery on behalf of the Arts Commission. We had a call for artists and we had a deadline back in October. And we had a total of 7 artists submit artwork. The Arts Commission juried the art on October 24th, and then tonight we are bringing you those recommendations for the display to start from December 5th through February 29th of 2024. A couple of the artists that we have for this rotation is Elizabeth Jacobson, Larry Harbaugh, Madison Wareham, Peggy Moore, and Tom Ryder. With a variety of art, and we will have some 3D art for our display case upstairs, which is nice because we don't get that very often. And so just looking for approval tonight to get those installed, and I will take any questions.
All right, Donna, anyone have public comment?
No public comment.
Or anyone in the audience like to speak? All right, we have a motion.
I move to waive the three-touch rule and approve the Shelton Arts Commission's recommendations for placement in the Civic Center rotating art gallery. Second.
All right, comments or questions? No, we have a motion and a second to, I'm sorry,
No, which is awesome.
we have a motion and a second to approve the Shelton Arts Commission recommendation for placement in the Civic Center Art Gallery. We're waiving the three-touch rule. Waiving the three-touch rule. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, motion carries.
I just want to make one comment about the art gallery, how much talent is in the city of Shelton. And
Our numbers
surrounding,
have gone up in submittals, which is great.
Awesome.
it's
Thank
just
you.
incredible, perfect place for that.
Right. City Manager Mark Ziegler has information for us about the LTAC grant recommendation. That's a Lodging Tax Advisory Committee.
Yeah, thank you, Mr. Mayor. Bringing back to you for your action tonight, the recommendations from the Lodging and Tourism Advisory Committee for tourism grant requests that would be funded in 2024. There's 9 requests in front of you tonight for your consideration. And there's been no changes since the brief. Couple weeks ago.
You want to have a public comment, Donna? You'd like to speak? All right, we have a motion.
Mr. Mayor, I move to approve the Lodging Tax Advisory Committee's recommendations for the 2024 tourism grants.
Second. All right, comments or questions? No. We have a motion and a second to approve the Lodging Tax Advisory Committee's recommendations for the 2024 tourism grants. All in favor, say aye. Aye. Opposed? Motion carries.
Extension.
Oh, yes, sorry. Motion carries. All right, we are skipping F3 and moving on to administration reports.
Mr. Mayor, I don't have much for you tonight. I apologize.
We all know you were in Mexico for 2 weeks. We all-
A very well-deserved trip.
They know now.
Again, I just want to recognize our staff and their hard work put into developing this 2024 proposed budget that you reviewed tonight. I know that the 10-15 minutes spent on it tonight don't justify the amount of time put in by all of our staff. So just want to recognize them and their hard work, as well as their hard work going into this fall season. The rains that we've had, that I hear that we've had, and combined with fall and the leaves coming down, it's a continual process to make sure that our infrastructure's clean and functioning well and our public is safe. So I really appreciate working every day side by side with these individuals here, and I think we're very lucky to have all of them here. So that's all I have for you tonight.
All right, well, we want to hear a little bit about Mexico because he's hardcore. He flew into Mexico with a hurricane ready to land. And when he landed, they closed his airport. So we want to hear a little bit about your first few
Essentially.
days in Mexico.
Yeah, it was windy and rainy and humid, really humid. So it was an experience. We were all safe, but you know, it was interesting to say the least. It wasn't a major hurricane like Otis that hit Acapulco a couple days later, thank goodness. That we didn't have to witness that devastation they saw there, but I really feel sorry for folks in that area of the world that doesn't have the infrastructure that we have. And we talk about the environment and safety, and when you realize the sewer systems and street systems that are failing because of these storms and the environmental impact, the impact to the residents and the citizens that don't have safe buildings, and a number of people that we talked to that lost roofs or part of their buildings, or they flooded and they didn't have power for a week or more. It really makes me feel fortunate that we're in an area and we have individuals and we have a council and a community that works so hard to keep everybody safe and have infrastructure that we have available to us.
I appreciate that. Took the fun out of my question, but
Stick to business for tonight.
but
Mr. Mayor. You
that
can talk
was
later.
great to hear that
My wife would have a different answer.
All right. At this time, members of the public are invited to make public comment on any topic that's not listed on the agenda. Donna, do anyone signed up for public comment tonight?
We do not have anyone signed up. We do have a few people in the audience, and I don't see anyone's hand raised there either. So no public comment.
All right, that is exciting. Sorry. I didn't.
Can I just say, we miss you, Mark, at the Parks Department, but I want to give you thanks from the Shelton Rotary Club for helping with Puff and Puff Park. And that we're having another cleanup at the park at 9 o'clock on the 11/11. So on Veterans Day, we're gonna go for 2 hours. So we're gonna have 11/11/11, all of us up there. Hopefully cleaning up the park, and just want to thank you for all the hard work you've done up there. It looks great. I love that we have the mutton mitt bags because it's a really nice pickup. And it's really good to keep your hands clean. And just the amount of work at the park, and I just feel that the Puff and Puff's just become a very good place to go and recreate and walk your dog and take the family. So thanks.
Yeah. Thank you. And we eliminated the director position, but I believe Mark is still kind of pushing the button.
And Jordan, thank you, Jordan.
And Jordan.
We have great staff picking up where we left off, so.
All right, I didn't ask if there's anyone in the audience that'd like to speak a public comment. All right, I didn't think so tonight.
Happy election day, everyone.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I actually pegged this meeting wrong tonight, but does the council have any new items for discussion? I would just like to ask if we could maybe get a study session here in the near future on the height limit for town and for around town, and where it'd be proper to have taller buildings downtown, would be proper to have apartments and stuff like that, 3-story apartments or whatever. So we can maybe get that on the books here in the near future. I know that we've talked about it a couple times, but we really haven't.
Yeah,
investigated.
we can bring you some options. I know that part of the comp planning exercise, we'll be talking about rezoning and zoning for multifamily, housing, townhouses and things like that outright. So it's a larger picture than just, just raising height limits, right? There's impacts to and surrounding neighborhoods, surrounding properties, compatibility issues, design issues that we want to be able to, I guess, strategically discuss, but we certainly can bring that forward with options and alternatives. So we've got better guidance moving through that comp plan process.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, I know density is a goal, so that would help. All right, any other new items? All right, our next meeting is scheduled for Tuesday, November 21st at 6 p.m. We also have study session November 14th at 6 p.m. This meeting is adjourned at 7:07 p.m.